What if I told you police found $6.7 billion on a single laptop? How does a minimum wage takeaway worker end up with the world's largest cryptocurrency seizure in history? By the end of this video, you'll understand how 128,000 people lost everything to one woman, why they may never get their money back even though police have it, and the 7 red flags that could protect you from becoming the next victim. But here's the twist that changes everything. This crime didn't even happen in Britain. October 2018. West Heath Road, Hampstead, London. Metropolitan Police smash through the door of a £23.5 million mansion. They're investigating fraud. Inside a single Lenovo laptop, 61,000 Bitcoin, the largest crypto seizure ever. The woman living here? 18 months earlier, she was earning minimum wage serving fried rice in Leeds. After covering how authorities track digital currencies, this case shows what happens when they actually recover the money and why that creates an even bigger problem. Meet Zhimin Qian, the goddess of wealth, who convinced thousands to hand over their life savings. Meet Jian Wen, who went from poverty to managing billions. And discover why money recovered from criminals might never reach the victims. September 30th, 2025. Zhimin Qian stands in court and pleads guilty. But here's what'll shock you. The legal answer to who gets $6.7 billion is more complicated than the crime itself. I'll show you exactly why at minute 7. Let's start in 2014 in China. Tianjin Lantian Gerui, electronic technology company. Between 2014 and 2017, this company makes one promise to Chinese investors. Give us your money, we'll return 100% to 300% profit. 128,000 people believe it. The victims aren't naive. They're business owners, bank employees, even judges, people who understand money, looking to secure retirement. Here's why they trusted it. This is the Diaoyutai State Guesthouse in Beijing, where China hosts world leaders and signs international treaties. This is where Zhimin Qian hosts her investor presentations. Think about the psychology. You're invited where presidents meet. The woman presenting is polished, confident, connected. Everyone around you is investing. Your friend recommended this. Would you question it? This is red flag number 3, using impressive locations to create false legitimacy. Remember this. We'll cover all 7 by the end. The scheme spreads through trust networks, friend to friend, family to family. Your friend wouldn't lie to you, right? But often that friend was tricked too. They're a victim recruiting more victims. That's red flag number 4. And it's devastatingly effective. September 4th, 2017. The Chinese government bans cryptocurrency trading. Panic spreads. Zhimin Qian makes a decision that defines this entire story. She converts every stolen yuan into Bitcoin, obtains a fake passport from St. Kitts and Nevis, and boards a plane to London. 61,000 Bitcoin, 1 laptop, 1 woman. In Britain, nobody knows she's coming. Janwen lives above a Chinese takeaway in Leeds. Annual income £5,979 to £12,000. Working class, invisible. Late 2017, same woman, different life, renting a mansion for £17,000 per month. Viewing properties worth tens of millions. When estate agents ask how she affords this, she says international jewelry business. Red flag. Number 2, vague explanations about where money comes from. Legitimate businesses have clear, verifiable income sources. Zhimin Qian needed a British front person, someone who could rent properties, open bank accounts, sign documents without raising immediate alarms. Jian Wen was that person. October 2017, Jian Wen attempts to buy this property. 7 bedrooms, swimming pool, cinema, the same £23.5 million mansion where police will eventually find the laptop. But when you're buying a property this expensive, people ask questions. The numbers don't add up. The story keeps changing. There are multiple properties, another for £12.5 million, several around £4.5 million each. Every purchase attempt creates paperwork. Every wire transfer leaves a trail. Here's what most people don't understand about Bitcoin. It's not anonymous. Every transaction is recorded on a public ledger forever. Every Bitcoin can be traced from wallet to wallet. You can split it across thousands of addresses. You can use mixing services. But forensic blockchain analysis keeps getting better. Red flag number 7, converting legitimate investments to cryptocurrency to avoid scrutiny. That's not protecting your money, that's hiding it. October 2018. Metropolitan Police receive intelligence. They investigate. They build a case. Then they knock on the door. Inside, Jian Wen, documents linking her to the purchases, and the laptop containing 61,000 Bitcoin worth 1.4 billion pounds at seizure, March 2024. Jian Wen convicted of money laundering, 6 years, 8 months in prison. She claimed she didn't know the money was stolen. The jury disagreed, but Jian Wen was never the main target. She was the accomplice. Zhimin Qian was still free, still in Britain. And for years, investigators couldn't prove she was the source until September 30th, 2025. Zhimin Qian enters a guilty plea, not for fraud. Those crimes happened in China, and British courts have no jurisdiction. Instead, she pleads guilty to one charge: possessing criminal property. And here's where that legal shock I promised you comes in. Quiz time. What venue did Zhimin Qian use to legitimize her scheme? A. Shanghai Convention Center. B. Diaoyutai State Guesthouse. C. Great Hall of the People. D. Beijing Finance Tower. I will give you 4 to 5 seconds to think about the answer. And the answer is B. Diaoyutai State Guesthouse. The fraud happened in China. The victims are in China, but the money is in Britain, and Zhimin Qian is in British custody. Britain and China don't have an extradition treaty. The UK won't send her back. China can't demand her return. British prosecutors can only charge her with possessing criminal property in the UK. The penalty? Significantly lighter than what she'd face in China for the original fraud. This is a jurisdictional gap. Crime in one country, evidence in another. No legal bridge. Now comes the impossible question. What happens to 5.5 billion pounds in seized Bitcoin? 3 parties want this money. UK government. Under British law, seized criminal assets with no legitimate owner fund public services. 50% to police. 50% to the Home Office. Billions for law enforcement and infrastructure. They have legal grounds to keep it. Chinese government. They're funding British lawyers to argue this money belongs to Chinese victims. They're providing evidence. They want the money returned to Chinese authority for distribution. The 128,000 victims, the people who actually lost their savings. Strongest moral claim, weakest legal position. Here's why. Remember that 23.5 million pound mansion from the opening? The victims can't even touch the seized Bitcoin inside it, even though it's their money. To claim a portion, each victim must prove their specific investment was converted into this exact Bitcoin. They must trace transactions through the blockchain, navigate British courts with British lawyers. Legal costs alone could exceed recovery amounts. A London solicitor charges hundreds per hour. The process takes years. For someone who invested £10,000, proving ownership could cost £15,000. The math doesn't work. Crown Prosecution Service says victims can apply under Section 281 of the Proceeds of Crime Act. But the evidentiary bar is nearly impossible for most people to clear. And here's the factor working against victims. British authorities have financial incentive to keep the money. If no claims are approved, billions stay in the UK. Would you approve claims that cost your agency billions? Quiz time. Why can't the UK extradite Zhimin Qian to China? A. She has British citizenship. B. No extradition treaty exists. C. China hasn't requested it. D. Crime isn't serious enough. You will get 4 to 5 seconds to think about the answer. And the shocking answer is B. No extradition treaty exists. So how do 128,000 financially sophisticated people fall for this? Let me show you the 7 red flags that could protect you, and why you need to share this with anyone managing investments or approaching retirement. Red flag 1. Returns too good to be true. Legitimate investments don't consistently return 100% to 300%. Average stock market return 7% to 10% annually. Anyone promising significantly more is either taking massive risks or lying. If it sounds impossible, it probably is. Red flag 2, opaque leadership and operations. Most victims never met Zhimin Qian, recruited through friends who heard from friends. Company structure unclear. Investment strategy vague. Legitimate firms are transparent. You can look up executives, read strategy documents, verify regulatory registration. Can't find basic information. Don't invest. Red flag 3, using prestige for false legitimacy. The Diaoyutai State Guesthouse was brilliant psychological manipulation. Scammers use impressive locations, fancy titles, borrowed credibility to overcome skepticism. A nice venue doesn't mean sound investment. Presidential suites don't validate Ponzi schemes. Red flag 4, recruitment through personal relationships. The schemes spread friend to friend, family to family. They weaponize existing trust. When someone you know recommends an investment, you're less likely to do due diligence. You think they wouldn't lie. But that person was tricked too. They're a victim recruiting more victims without knowing it. Red flag 5, lack of regulatory oversight. Tianjin Lantian operated without proper licensing. In most countries, investment firms must register with regulatory bodies, US SEC, UK FCA. Before investing, check if the company is registered. Most regulatory websites have public databases. Not listed? Walk away immediately. Red flag 6, high pressure tactics and artificial urgency. Scammers create false scarcity. This won't last. Limited investors only. Your friend invested yesterday. You should too. Legitimate investments don't require snap decisions. If someone pressures you to invest immediately, that pressure itself is the warning sign. Walk away. Red flag. 7, unnecessary cryptocurrency conversion. When Zhimin Qian converted everything to Bitcoin after China's 2017 ban, that was a massive red flag. Why would a legitimate firm need to hide money in cryptocurrency? Crypto isn't inherently suspicious, but when used to avoid regulatory scrutiny or hide transactions from authorities, that's not innovation, that's evasion. Your protection checklist: 1, verify regulatory registration. 2, research independently. Never rely on referrals alone. 3, be skeptical of returns above 10 to 15% annually. 4, never invest based solely on recommendations. 5, read all documentation carefully before committing. 6, take your time. Legitimate opportunities wait. 7, if something feels wrong, trust that instinct. The victims weren't stupid. They were human. They wanted security. They trusted people they knew. But those returns were earlier investors being paid with money from newer investors. Classic Ponzi structure. By the time it collapsed, 128,000 people lost everything. September 30th, 2025 ended one chapter. Zhimin Qian's guilty plea closed the criminal case, but it opened bigger questions. Should the UK keep billions from a crime that didn't happen on British soil? Should China receive funds without an extradition treaty? Should individual victims bear the impossible burden of proving ownership through foreign courts? For 128,000 people, mostly elderly, mostly retired, the wait continues. Some have passed away since 2017. Some gave up hope. Some are still fighting. They were promised wealth. They lost everything. They're told their money was recovered, but they can't access it. This case shows how cryptocurrency has changed financial crime, how legal systems struggle with borderless digital assets, how victims can be failed by laws meant to protect them. Now, here's what I need from you. Drop an exclamation mark in the comments if you or someone you know has ever been targeted by an investment scam. And answer this: what should happen to the seized Bitcoin? Should the UK government keep it? Should it go to Chinese victims? Something else entirely? And if you want to understand the technology that made this case possible, how authorities actually track cryptocurrency through the blockchain, watch this video next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. The laptop sits in evidence storage. The woman who carried it across borders awaits sentencing. And somewhere in China, 128,000 people wait for justice. The world's largest cryptocurrency seizure. But for the victims, recovery is still the largest question. Thank you for watching. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and I see you in the next one.